Welcome to humanity's Vanguard HFY and Sci-Fi stories. Humanity always survives. No matter the galaxy's odds, the Coalition cataloged humans as divided, inefficient, and strategically irrelevant. Then one child was taken. Every human war stopped in under 6 hours. And the galaxy realized unity could be weaponized. The Yeehlad reconnaissance vessel drifted in low orbit above a fractured colony, its angular hull reflecting a pale blue star as internal observers documented human conflict patterns below. Civil unrest burned across continents. Fragmented governments deployed drones against each other. To the Yeehlads, humanity was a statistical curiosity, violent, disorganized, self-consuming. Commander Reputh extended a clawed limb toward the tactical display, isolating a small rural zone where no combat activity registered. Low-risk specimen retrieval, it clicked, voice layered with harmonic certainty. A shuttle descended silently through cloud cover, landing beside a solitary farmhouse. Inside, a child stood by a window, watching distant explosions like distant weather. The retrieval team moved efficiently. No alarms. No resistance. The child didn't scream, only stared. Within minutes, the shuttle ascended, vanishing into orbit. On Reputh's screen, human war metrics continued unchanged. No deviation. No signal. Just noise. The commander recorded the outcome with satisfaction. A species too busy destroying itself to notice a missing child. That assumption lasted exactly for minutes. Across multiple battlefronts, human commanders received the same encrypted signal simultaneously. No origin. No delay. A single line of code propagated through military networks, civilian systems, and unauthorized channels alike. Reuben Bonner froze mid-command in a desert theater, eyes narrowing as his tactical interface flickered. Across oceans, Brianna Shaw halted a drone strike seconds before impact. Malcolm Wise disconnected from a covert operation without explanation. Helena Hensley overrode orbital defense protocols. Remy Bentley shut down a naval engagement mid-salvo. The message was simple. Not a request. Not an order. A law. Child taken. Unknown vector. Full cessation. Immediate convergence within seconds, weapons powered down across active battle zones. Soldiers looked up, confused as enemies did the same. Satellites shifted orientation. Civilian networks synchronized. The chaos that defined humanity collapsed into silence. For the first time in recorded observation, the species acted as one system. Not negotiated. Not debated. Triggered. Reputh watched the feeds update in real time. Every conflict metric flatlined. No predictive model accounted for this. The commander leaned closer to the display, a rare hesitation entering its calculations. Something fundamental had just changed. The Coalition's observation arrays lit up with cascading anomalies as human infrastructure reconfigured itself with impossible speed. Military satellites abandoned national alignment and formed a unified orbital grid. Civilian vessels were routed without command chains. Deep space relays activated systems that had never been disclosed in any treaty or scan. Reputh initiated a full-spectrum analysis, but the data refused coherence. Humanity was not escalating. It was reorganizing. Entire fleets previously identified as hostile to one another now moved in synchronized trajectories. The commander replayed the retrieval footage, isolating the child's expression calm, observant, unafraid. Something in that stillness lingered. Below, the abandoned battlefield smoldered unattended. No pursuit. No retaliation. Just absence. Reputh attempted to contact higher Coalition command, but signals were delayed by unexpected interference. Human networks were saturating nearby space with encrypted traffic, layered and recursive. Not communication. Coordination. Then a new anomaly appeared. A vector. Hundreds of vectors. All pointing outward. Not random. not exploratory. Directed toward Yeehlad space. Reputh's mandibles tightened. The child was no longer a variable. It was a catalyst. And the galaxy had just been placed on a countdown it did not understand. The first human fleet did not emerge from hyperspace with warning or formation. It arrived already aligned, already calculated, already inside Yeehlad defensive perimeters. Reputh's command vessel registered the incursion to late for interception. No declarations. No demands. Just presence. Ships of incompatible designs, military, civilian, repurposed, operated as a single organism. Remy Bentley's voice cut across all frequencies, calm and unyielding. Return the child. No species identification. No diplomatic framing. Just inevitability. Yeehlad defense grids activated, firing coordinated energy lances toward the intruders. The human fleet did not evade. It adapted. Smaller vessels absorbed impact trajectories, redirecting energy into larger ships that converted it into propulsion bursts. Physics bent under collective improvisation. Brianna Shaw deployed drone swarms that fragmented mid-flight, reforming around Yeehlad weapons arrays and disabling them with precision strikes. Malcolm Wise led a boarding unit through a collapsing corridor, using the enemy's own gravity fluctuations to accelerate movement. Every action lacked precedent. No doctrine matched. Reputh attempted to issue countermeasures, but each command was outdated before execution. The humans were not reacting. They were anticipating. The battle wasn't unfolding. It was being rewritten in real time. Deep within the Yeehlad vessel, the child sat restrained in a containment field, observing the flickering lights as systems failed one by one. Helena Hensley breached the outer hull with surgical precision, her team moving through vacuum without hesitation, guided by predictive overlays generated from incomplete data. No clear map, one soldier muttered. We make one, Helena replied, marking corridors in real time as they advanced. Behind them, automated drones sealed breaches, converting damage into structural pathways. The ship itself became a tool. Reputh redirected internal defenses, flooding corridors with suppressive energy waves, but Reuben Bonner anticipated the pattern, rerouting his unit through maintenance shafts that had not existed minutes earlier. Human engineers were rewriting the ship's architecture mid-assault. The child looked up as the containment field flickered. Not fear. Recognition. When Helena entered the chamber, the silence was absolute. We're here, she said simply. The field collapsed. The child stepped forward. No hesitation. Outside, the battle intensified as Yeehlad reinforcements arrived, drawn by the anomaly. Reputh watched the retrieval in disbelief. The objective had been secured. Statistically, the humans should withdraw. They did not. Reputh initiated a full retreat protocol, ordering all surviving vessels to disengage and regroup beyond defensive range. The command propagated, but the ships did not move. Human interference had embedded itself into Yeehlad control systems, not as a virus, but as a priority override. Every escape vector rerouted back toward the human fleet. Panic, an unfamiliar variable, spread through Yeehlad ranks. The humans were not preventing escape. They were denying it conceptually. Remy Bentley's voice returned, colder now. You touched one across the battlefield. Human ships repositioned, forming a containment sphere that expanded outward, enveloping incoming Yeehlad reinforcements. Energy signatures spiked beyond safe thresholds, yet the vessels held formation, feeding excess into shared systems. A collective endurance. Reputh realized the shift to late. This was no longer a retrieval mission. It was a demonstration. The Coalition's fundamental assumption that humans prioritized survival over retaliation collapsed. The midpoint was not victory. It was revelation. The child had been the trigger. What followed was doctrine. And doctrine, once revealed, could not be undone. The Coalition's Emergency Council convened in fragmented transmissions as reports flooded in from multiple sectors. Human fleets were not isolated to Yeehlad space. They were everywhere. Drokid mining colonies went silent after refusing inspection. Cal trade routes collapsed as human vessels intercepted shipments without negotiation. Bix defensive stations powered down voluntarily after receiving a single transmission. No threats, just data. Visual records of what had occurred to the Yeehlads. Reputh, still aboard its crippled command vessel, watched as the containment sphere tightened. Human ships rotated in synchronized layers, redistributing energy and damage with relentless efficiency. There was no central command, no flagship. Every unit acted independently and collectively. The child stood beside Helena on a viewing platform, watching the battle unfold in silence. "It will stop," the child said quietly. Helena nodded once. When they understand, Reputh attempted one final transmission. "We will return the specimen. Cease hostilities." The reply came instantly. Not from a leader. From everywhere. "You misunderstand. This is not about return." The realization settled with crushing clarity. The humans were not negotiating. They were teaching. The final phase did not resemble destruction. It resembled inevitability. Human forces began disabling Yeehlad vessels systematically, not with overwhelming force, but with precise, irreversible actions. Engines were fused into inert mass. Weapon systems reconfigured into non-functional loops. Navigation cores rewritten into static coordinates. No explosions. No spectacle. Just removal of capability. Reuben Bonner coordinated ground extractions on occupied colonies, ensuring no human presence remained within potential conflict zones. Brianna Shaw redirected orbital debris into controlled barriers, isolating entire regions without collateral damage. Malcolm Wise led surgical strikes against command nodes, leaving structures intact but useless. Helena Hensley stood with the child as the last Yeehlad ship powered down, its systems locked in permanent stasis. Reputh's consciousness flickered as control dissolved. The lesson was complete. Not annihilation. Supremacy. A demonstration that humanity could end a species and chose not to. That restraint carried more weight than extinction. The Coalition watched in silence as human fleets held position, unmoving, waiting. Not for surrender, for understanding. In the aftermath, human fleets did not celebrate. They did not broadcast victory. They remained a silent perimeter around a broken enemy, their presence a constant reminder of what had been unleashed. Across the galaxy, conflicts paused, not by force, but by fear of triggering the same response. Civil wars stalled. Territorial disputes froze. The pattern was clear. Harm a human child, and the species would unify it with terrifying precision. Not out of rage alone, but out of principle embedded deeper than politics, deeper than survival. The child returned to the farmhouse, standing once again by the window, watching distant stars instead of distant fires. Humanity's wars would resume. They always did. But something had changed. A line had been drawn, not in treaties or declarations, but in action. Reputh's final recorded thought, transmitted before total system failure, echoed through Coalition archives. They are divided by choice, united by law, and somewhere in the vast silence of space, human fleets waited, not for peace, but for the next mistake. Because now, the galaxy understood. Some rules are not negotiated. Some laws are enforced. Human fleets remained in orbit long after the last Yeehlad system went silent, their formation unbroken, their presence impossible to ignore. No victory signals. No declarations. Just a message encoded in stillness. Across the galaxy, species updated their doctrines, rewriting centuries of strategy around a single, terrifying constant. Humanity could fracture. Humanity could fight itself. but there existed a boundary no one was allowed to cross. Not anymore. On Earth, conflicts slowly reignited, tensions resurfacing like embers beneath ash. Yet something lingered beneath every decision, every escalation. A memory. A warning. High above, unseen satellites track the stars, always watching, always ready. Because the next mistake would not be corrected. It would be answered. If you want to witness what happens when humanity stops holding back, subscribe to humanity's Vanguard. The galaxy is learning. And this was only the first lesson.